Welcome back to Old Penny Coins HD, where ordinary coins turn into extraordinary money. Stop scrolling right now because the nickel in your pocket could be worth thousands of dollars. Most people think Jefferson nickels are just 5-cent coins, but some rare dates and errors have sold for shocking prices at auctions. Today I'm revealing the top 5 most valuable Jefferson nickel coins that collectors are desperately hunting for right now. If you've ever wondered whether an old nickel could change your life, this video might surprise you, where ordinary pocket change turns into extraordinary American history. And today, you are about to hear a story that almost nobody tells the full story of the 1973 Jefferson nickel, a coin. Most people have held, spent ignored, and forgotten. Yet behind this small piece of metal is a powerful chapter of United States history filled with economic pressure, changing metal prices, political decisions, mint struggles, collector secrets, and silent errors that can turn a common-looking nickel into a serious collector's treasure. So sit back, stay focused, and listen closely, because by the end of this story, you will never look at a Jefferson nickel the same way again. The 1973 Jefferson nickel was born in a time when America itself was under pressure. The Vietnam War was still shaping the nation. Inflation was rising, gas shortages were approaching, and trust in government was being tested. Every coin struck in this era carried the weight of uncertainty, and the Jefferson nickel was no exception. Designed originally by Felix Schlag in 1938. The Jefferson nickel had already been in circulation for decades by 1973. But this year marked a critical moment when the coin was no longer just currency. It was a survivor of economic stress and industrial challenge. The composition of the 1973 nickel remained 75% copper and 25% nickel, a formula that sounds simple but was becoming expensive as metal prices climbed the United States. Mint had to strike millions of coins while keeping costs under control and quality consistent, which was not always easy that year. The Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint produced massive numbers of nickels, while the San Francisco Mint focused on proof versions intended for collectors rather than circulation. And this difference alone created multiple paths of rarity and value. The Philadelphia Mint struck coins without a mint mark, a detail many beginners overlook. Yet this missing letter is exactly how experts identify its origin. The Denver Mint added the small d, which today helps collectors track strike quality and rarity patterns, while the San Francisco proofs were carefully struck with polished dies, creating mirror-like fields and sharp details that stand apart from everyday pocket change. But even with careful planning, the Mint faced problems die wear. Weak strikes and subtle errors slipped into circulation unnoticed at the time. Weak steps on Monticello became common because the nickel metal was hard on dies, and full steps. Examples from 1973 are now highly desirable among advanced collectors and grading services. Pay close attention to the steps beneath Monticello because they tell the story of how fresh or worn the die was when the coin was struck. Error coins from 1973 are now highly desirable among advanced collectors and grading services. Pay close attention to the steps beneath Monticello because they tell the story of how fresh or worn the die was when the coin was struck. Error coins from this year include off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and double die varieties that can only be seen by those who know exactly where to look and when inflation pushed people to ignore low-value coins. Many of these errors were spent lost or damaged, making surviving high-grade examples even harder to find. The portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse reflects a calm, steady vision of leadership, contrasting sharply with the uncertain world of 1973, and the reverse showing Monticello represents stability, tradition, and the foundation of American democracy values that felt increasingly important during that era. This coin circulated through gas stations, grocery stores, and factory pay envelopes, silently witnessing daily American life during a period of change and struggle, and while millions were made, very few survived in pristine condition, because nickels were workhorses used heavily, rarely saved, and often abused. Which is why, today, finding a 1973 Jefferson nickel in high mint state or proof condition is far more difficult than most people expect. Collectors today search Rolls collections and old jars, hoping to uncover a sharp strike full steps or a proof coin with deep cameo contrast, because these pieces can command significant premiums far above face value, and grading can dramatically change a coin's worth turning a 5-cent piece into a prized collectible. The story of the 1973 Jefferson nickel is not about instant riches, but about hidden history, patience, knowledge, and the thrill of discovery. It represents an era when America balanced tradition with change, when the mint balanced cost with quality, and when a simple coin carried more meaning than its face value suggests. This is why coin collectors study years like 1973, because they reveal how history, economics, and craftsmanship collide in metal. And if you are holding a Jefferson nickel from this year, you are holding a silent witness to American resilience. So keep watching, keep learning, and keep searching, because the next valuable piece of history could already be in your hands right now. 1973, Jefferson nickel. It is important to understand how this coin fit into the everyday rhythm of American life at that exact moment in history. This was not a collector's coin. When it was released, it was a work coin designed to move fast from hand to hand, from factory floors to lunch counters, from parking meters to jukeboxes, and because of that heavy use, the survival rate of high-quality examples dropped quickly. Nickels were rarely pulled aside or saved, unlike silver coins of earlier decades. And this reality makes 1973 nickels in strong condition far more interesting today than most people realize. The United States Mint was under pressure to meet demand because commerce relied on small change vending machines, public transportation, and payphones all required reliable coinage, and the Jefferson nickel played a major role in keeping daily transactions moving. Yet the harder nickel alloy caused faster die deterioration, resulting in softer details, especially on Monticello and its steps. And this is where collectors today focus their attention, because the steps beneath Monticello are like fingerprints of the minting process. Sharp steps mean a strong strike and a fresh die, while flat or blended steps reveal rushed production and worn equipment, making full steps examples from this year increasingly scarce and valuable, especially from the Denver Mint, where strike quality often varied widely. Another layer of fascination comes from the proof coins struck at San Francisco. These were not meant for circulation. They were sold directly to collectors in proof sets and carefully preserved, yet even proof coins from 1973 can show imperfections, such as haze spotting or light hairlines due to improper storage over the decades, which means truly flawless proof. Nickels with deep, cameo contrast are far rarer today than the original mintage numbers suggest, and when a proof coin displays bold frosted devices against mirrored fields, it becomes a standout example of mint craftsmanship from a difficult era. Error hunting adds even more excitement to this year because the Mint was pushing production limits. Off-center strikes can show dramatic misalignment while still retaining full dates. Broad strikes reveal coins that expanded beyond their collars, creating oversized shapes, and clipped planchets tell the story of metal strips improperly cut before striking double die varieties. Though subtle, can be found with careful magnification, especially in lettering and date details, and these errors were never intentional. They are accidents frozen in time, reminders that even a powerful institution like the United States Mint is run by machines and humans, both capable of small mistakes that later become treasured collectibles. The economic backdrop of 1973 adds emotional weight to this coin. The oil crisis was beginning. Inflation was accelerating, and Americans were feeling financial pressure in everyday life. And while a 5-cent coin may seem insignificant, it represented purchasing power, stability, and routine, and many people relied on exact change to get through daily tasks. This nickel passed through countless hands, each one unaware they were touching a piece of History now studied decades later by numismatists and historians collectors. Today view the 1973 Jefferson nickel as a bridge between eras. Not old enough to be silver, not modern enough to be ignored. It sits quietly in the middle, carrying lessons about metal economics, production challenges, and design longevity. And as grading standards became stricter, coins from this year began separating into clear tiers. Common circulated pieces lightly, collected mint state coins and elite full steps or proof-deep cameo examples that command attention, respect, and higher values. And this is why searching old rolls, collections, and inherited jars still matters, because knowledge turns ordinary finds into extraordinary discoveries. And the true power of the 1973 Jefferson nickel lies not in instant fortune, but in understanding what others overlook. It teaches patience, observation, and respect for history struck in metal. So as this story continues, remember every coin has a voice, every year has a lesson, and sometimes the smallest denomination carries the biggest story. And if you keep learning and keep looking, you may already own a quiet treasure waiting to be understood, where ordinary pocket change turns into extraordinary American history, and today we travel deep into the heart of the United States on the edge of world-changing events, as we uncover the powerful story of the Jefferson nickel. 1941, a coin that lived in the final calm moments before America was pulled into the fire of World War II. This is not just a 5-cent coin. This is a silent witness to factories waking before dawn, families listening to radios, farmers, mechanic soldiers, and dreamers all sharing the same uncertain future. 1941 was the last full year of peace for the United States, and every Jefferson nickel struck that year carried the weight of a nation standing at a crossroads, designed by sculptor Felix Schlag. The coin shows Thomas Jefferson, a founding father who believed in liberty, education, and the strength of the common citizen, and on the reverse stands Monticello, his home a symbol of American ideals, stability, intelligence, and endurance. And in 1941, these ideals were being tested. Like never before, millions of these nickels were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, flowing through diners, movie theaters, train stations, and corner stores. While the world beyond the oceans was already at war, the metal itself tells a story made of copper and nickel, before wartime shortages would soon force the government to change the very composition of American coinage, making this issue the final breath of normal metal before history shifted forever. Collectors today see the 1941 Jefferson nickel as a bridge between eras, a coin of calm before chaos, a piece of money that bought coffee, newspapers, and hope while unknowingly counting down the days to Pearl Harbor. Each strike from the mint echoed with confidence that America would endure and survive. And when you hold this coin, you are holding the final chapter of innocence before sacrifice, reshaped the nation values condition. Mint marks, errors, and survival rates all add layers to its story, but the true value lies in what it represents, a country about to change forever. This video will take you through the design, the minting process, the historical backdrop, the lives of the people who used this coin, the mistakes that created rare varieties, and why collectors and historians still respect the 1941 Jefferson nickel as one of the most important pre-war coins ever made. Stay with us, because by the end of this journey, you will never look at a small 5-cent coin the same way again. As the 1941 Jefferson nickel continued to roll off the presses, the United States Mint was operating at full strength, responding to a growing economy fueled by industry innovation and cautious optimism. The Philadelphia Mint produced the largest share, acting as the backbone of national coinage, while Denver and San Francisco supported the western expansion of commerce. Each mint left its subtle signature through mint marks that today help collectors trace the journey of every surviving coin. These nickels passed from hand to hand across a nation, buying bread milk, gasoline, and movie tickets, while radios spoke of distant battles and uncertain futures. The faces that touched these coins belonged to factory workers, steel mill laborers, teachers, shopkeepers, and young men who would soon trade civilian clothes for uniforms, and the nickel became part of daily routine, quiet, dependable, and unremarkable. Yet history was building pressure beneath the surface. The portrait of Jefferson itself tells a deeper story. Schlag original design faced controversy when first introduced, yet by 1941 it had become a familiar face, symbolizing democratic values, intellectual freedom, and the belief that the strength of America lived in its people. Jefferson's gaze on the coin appears calm, reflective, almost unaware of the storm approaching. And Monticello, on the reverse, stands firm, balanced and precise, representing order, knowledge, and permanence at a time when the world was losing. Both the steps and columns are sharply defined on well-preserved examples, and collectors today search for strong strikes, especially on the steps of Monticello, because they represent quality craftsmanship from a mint system still untouched by wartime shortcuts. As the year progressed, whispers of conflict grew louder, yet daily. Life continued, and the nickel remained unchanged, made of the traditional copper-nickel alloy that would soon become impossible to sustain once war demanded those metals for tanks, ships, and weapons. This makes the 1941 issue historically significant because it belongs to the final generation of standard composition nickels before Silver War nickels took their place. And when America entered the war in December, every coin already in circulation instantly became a relic of the before time, a reminder of how quickly normal life can disappear. Collectors today study this coin not only for rarity, but for meaning. Most 1941 Jefferson nickels are affordable in circulated grades, yet in high mint state condition. Their value rises sharply, especially examples with full steps, sharp luster, and minimal contact marks. Error coins add another chapter including doubled dies off center strikes and repunched mint marks, each error created by human hands and mechanical limits, offering a glimpse inside the mint floor where speed, precision, and pressure ruled every second survival rates. Tell us millions were melted, lost, or worn smooth through decades of use, leaving fewer pristine survivors than original mintages suggest. To truly understand the 1941 Jefferson nickel, you must imagine the sound of coins dropping into cash drawers, the weight of change in a soldier's pocket before deployment, the hope of a family buying groceries while the radio announces breaking news. This coin does not shout its importance. It whispers it through metal wear and memory. And as this video continues, we will dive deeper into mint-by-mint production stories, wartime transitions, collector strategies, grading secrets, and why this humble 5-cent piece remains one of the strongest storytellers in American numismatics history. Stay with the channel name Coins, because every coin has a past, and some pasts are powerful enough to change the way we see the present. Where we unlock the secrets of American coins and reveal the hidden stories behind every mint mark and every detail. Today, we are diving deep into the fascinating world of the Jefferson nickel, specifically the 1982 Jefferson nickel, a coin that represents a unique moment in United States coinage history and offers collectors and enthusiasts a window into the economic, cultural, and artistic developments of the early 1980s. The Jefferson nickel first appeared in 1938, designed by Felix Schlag, replacing the Buffalo nickel and featuring the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, whose vision and ideas continue to shape the nation over 2 centuries later. The 1982 Jefferson nickel was struck during a period when the United States was experiencing significant economic changes, including shifts in metal prices and evolving minting technologies. The coin is composed primarily of a copper nickel alloy and features Jefferson on the obverse with his profile facing left, capturing his dignified and thoughtful expression. The reverse depicts Monticello, his historic Virginia home, an architectural symbol of Jefferson's legacy and American ingenuity. The 1982 release is particularly interesting because it falls in the period shortly before the United States Mint made slight adjustments to coin compositions and before the introduction of significant modern minting errors that collectors actively seek. Each coin was struck at either the Philadelphia or Denver Mint with distinct mint marks, P for Philadelphia and D for Denver, and these small letters often become crucial for collectors assessing rarity and value. The year 1982 also coincided with a heightened interest in coin collecting in America, fueled by a growing awareness of rare coins and the realization that everyday circulating coins could carry hidden numismatic value. For the Jefferson nickel 1982, there are subtle variations in die strikes and the quality of the minting process that make certain specimens more desirable for collectors, including full steps on Monticello sharpness of Jefferson's profile and the overall luster of the coin, which reflects the quality of the metal and striking process. Beyond its physical characteristics, the Jefferson nickel 1982 also represents an era in American culture. The early 1980s were marked by a resurgence of patriotism, economic challenges, and technological progress, and these coins quietly circulated in pockets, wallets, and cash registers as silent witnesses to everyday life, influencing generations who held them and sometimes saved them as keepsakes. The coin can also serve as a lens to examine the mint's production techniques at the time, including planche preparation, die polishing, and press. Pressure adjustments, which all contribute to the coin's final appearance, and the minute differences that serious collectors study under magnification. Many collectors look for high-grade, uncirculated examples in mint state condition to preserve every detail of the design, while others search for circulated coins that tell a story through their wear marks, discolorations, and patina, reflecting decades of hands pockets and cash drawers. Every scratch or toning pattern becomes a narrative of the coin's journey and adds to the historical value of the 1982 Jefferson nickel. From an investment perspective, the 1982 Jefferson nickel offers an accessible entry point for new collectors and a fascinating case study for seasoned numismatists examining trends in mintage's values and collector interest. It is also an excellent opportunity to explore the broader Jefferson nickel series spanning decades. Understanding how designs evolved, small changes in mint marks, metal composition, and die variations tell a story of innovation, artistry, and continuity in American coinage. Our deep dive today will examine every aspect of this remarkable coin, from its historical context and design origins to its minting process, market value, and tips for spotting the rarest examples. We will explore stories of collectors who have discovered extraordinary 1982 nickels in circulation, and trace the coin's journey from the mint to everyday commerce to specialized coin collections across the country. By the end of this video, you will have a complete understanding of the 1982 Jefferson nickel, from the microscopic details of its die and metallic composition to the historical and cultural significance it embodies and the potential investment opportunities it presents. So grab your magnifying glass and join us as we uncover the complete story. Behind the Jefferson nickel 1982, a coin that is much more than pocket change. It is a tangible piece of history, art, and American heritage that continues to capture the imagination of collectors around the world. Now let us take a closer look at the obverse of the 1982 Jefferson nickel, where Felix Schlag's design captures the thoughtful and intellectual character of Thomas Jefferson, a leader whose ideas shaped the foundation of the United States. The profile is finely detailed, showing Jefferson's high forehead, pronounced cheekbones, and distinctive hairstyle, which were revolutionary for coin designs of the time. Schlag carefully balanced. Realism with artistic interpretation in every curve of Jefferson's face was meant to convey wisdom, dignity, and strength. This attention to detail makes each nickel not only a medium of exchange, but also a miniature work of art that reflects the skill and precision of the mint engravers. The lettering along the obverse edge, including the words Liberty in bold capital letters and the date 1982, are struck with consistency and clarity. In most high-quality coins, however, subtle variations can occur due to die wear pressure differences and slight misalignments. Collectors often spend hours examining these small differences with magnifying tools, identifying what is known as die varieties, which can significantly affect a coin's desirability and value. Moving to the reverse, the Monticello building is rendered with remarkable precision, showcasing the columns, windows, and roofline as an architectural representation of Jefferson's vision and genius. The reverse design also includes the inscriptions E pluribus unum and the word cent, framed neatly below Monticello, giving the coin a balanced and harmonious appearance. Numismatists note that in 1982, some coins display sharper steps in the columns and roof, which is an indicator of a well-struck coin, while others may appear slightly flattened due to die wear or circulation impact. These subtle differences are critical for collectors aiming to acquire coins in the best possible condition and are often used to assign numerical grades following the professional grading scale, which ranges from poor to mint state. The 1982 Jefferson nickel also has historical significance in terms of mintage numbers. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these coins, while the Denver Mint had slightly lower production figures, making certain mint mark combinations more sought after by collectors. In addition to standard circulation strikes, there were also proof sets created for collectors, which feature mirror-like surfaces and frosted devices, offering an even higher level of detail and aesthetic appeal. Proof coins from this year are particularly prized because they were struck with special care and represent a limited production compared to the mass circulation issues. Beyond the technical and aesthetic details, the Jefferson Nickel 1982 also tells a story about the American economy during the early 1980s. The United States was experiencing fluctuations in metal prices, especially nickel, which is used in coin alloys. And these economic pressures influenced the mint's decisions regarding coin production techniques and metal composition changes. Over the years, the copper-nickel alloy of the Jefferson nickel has proven to be durable, allowing coins from 1982 to survive in excellent condition in pockets, cash registers, and coin collections across the country. Another fascinating aspect of the 1982 nickel is the presence of minor errors and anomalies that can occur during the minting process. These can include off-center strikes, doubled, dies, weak strikes, or planché imperfections. While these errors are usually unintentional, they have become highly collectible and sometimes fetch premium prices at auctions. Collectors are always on the lookout for such varieties as they represent unique moments in minting history and offer the thrill of discovering a coin that is one of a kind. In addition to technical details, collectors are drawn to the Jefferson Nickel 1982 because of its role in popular culture and everyday life. These coins were used in vending machines, bus fares, small purchases. Your ultimate destination for uncovering the hidden stories and incredible value behind every coin. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating coins in American history, the 1987 Jefferson Nickel. And trust me, this is a journey every coin collector and history enthusiast will want to follow from the moment it was minted to the intricate details that make it a collector's dream. The Jefferson nickel first entered circulation in 1938 and quickly became an iconic symbol of American coinage designed by Felix Schlag. The coin features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, on its obverse with a dignified profile that has remained remarkably consistent through decades of design changes. This nickel also features Monticello Jefferson's famous Virginia home on the reverse, a design element that not only honors Jefferson's legacy, but also tells a story of American architecture and history. And as we focus on the 1987 Jefferson nickel, we see a coin that was minted during a period of significant change in the United States economy and coin production in 1987. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced millions of nickels, But despite these large numbers, certain coins from this year have become highly sought after due to subtle variations and minting errors that make them rare and valuable. Each coin carries with it a story of craftsmanship, from the careful engraving of Jefferson's portrait to the precise depiction of Monticello. Collectors often examine these coins for details such as double dies, die cracks, and other anomalies that can significantly increase a coin's market value. And beyond the physical characteristics, the 1987 Jefferson nickel reflects a period in U.S. history where the nation was experiencing rapid technological growth, and the coin itself became a small but important part of everyday life, from pockets to cash registers to coin collections across the country. Numismatists around the world continue to study these nickels for the intricate details that reveal the minting techniques of the late 20th century. And as we examine the metal composition of the coin, it is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a combination that provides durability and a distinctive appearance that has allowed these coins to circulate for decades while still maintaining their original charm. But the story does not end there, because collectors often look for coins in uncirculated condition with sharp details and lustrous surfaces. The 1987 Jefferson nickel can tell a story about the care and history of the people who used it. Every scratch, every mark, and every shine on the coin reflects decades of interaction with the American public. And we will also explore the market value of this coin today, discussing the factors that affect pricing, from mint state grading to rare error varieties, and even how certain coins in private collections have sold for surprising amounts at auction, making it a fascinating case study for both new collectors and seasoned numismatists. And in this video, we will also compare the 1987 Jefferson nickel with other nickels from the decade, highlighting the subtle design differences and minting nuances that make each coin unique. As we take this journey together, we will uncover historical context, interesting facts about Jefferson's life, his presidency, and his influence on American currency. And as we progress, we will reveal insider tips on how to identify valuable coins, how to properly store and preserve them, and how to start building a collection that could appreciate in value over time. So stay tuned as we dive deeper into every aspect of the 1987 Jefferson nickel, from its design history to market trends to collector insights. And by the end of this video, you will not only understand the significance of this coin, but also gain a profound appreciation for the art history and craftsmanship behind every Jefferson nickel ever minted in this series. Now let's take a closer look at the life of Thomas Jefferson himself and why his image was chosen for the nickel. Jefferson was a visionary leader, a founding father, the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, and the third president of the United States. His influence on American history is monumental, and placing his portrait on the nickel was not only a tribute to his leadership, but also a reminder of the values of liberty, democracy, and innovation that he championed. Collectors often appreciate coins more when they understand the historical significance behind the figures depicted, and Jefferson's story adds a deep layer of meaning to every nickel minted in his honor. Next, we explore the design process of the Jefferson nickel. Felix Schlag won a national competition to create the design. His original sketches were carefully reviewed by the United States Commission of Fine Arts, and after some modifications, his design was approved in 1938, and remarkably, the essence of his design continued through decades, including the 1987 release. What makes Schlag's work extraordinary is his attention to detail, from Jefferson's facial expression to the architectural precision of Monticello. Every element was meticulously crafted to ensure the coin would stand the test of time even under heavy circulation. Now let's talk about the mintage and production numbers. In 1987, the Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 217 million nickels, while the Denver Mint produced about 223 million. These numbers might seem huge, but within these millions, collectors search for specific coins that stand out due to die errors, double strikes, or unique markings, and some of these anomalies can drastically increase a coin's value. A close examination with a magnifying lens can reveal subtle differences in the way the design elements strike the metal. These details are where serious numismatists make discoveries that others might overlook. The composition of the coin is another fascinating aspect. The 1987 Jefferson nickel is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This combination is ideal for durability, as it allows the coin to withstand years of circulation without excessive wear while still maintaining a bright, lustrous finish. Uncirculated coins retain a shine that makes them highly desirable among collectors and coin grading experts. Pay close attention to luster surface quality and strike sharpness when evaluating these nickels. Now we move into minting errors and varieties. These are among the most exciting aspects for collectors in 1987. There were a number of notable errors, including double dies on the obverse and reverse die cracks. Some coins show extra lines in the lettering or slight doubling in Jefferson's portrait. These subtle differences might seem minor to the casual observer, but they can significantly affect the coin's rarity and value in auctions. Some 1987 Jefferson nickels with prominent errors have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on condition and provenance. Let's also explore the coin's role in everyday life. During the late 1980s, the Jefferson nickel was used in vending machines, cash registers, and countless transactions daily. Yet despite this ordinary use, each coin carried a story. Every scratch, dent, or mark is a historical artifact from someone's everyday life. During this period, these coins circulated alongside other coins like the penny, dime, and quarter, forming an essential part of American commerce and culture. Imagine holding in your hand a piece of American history that not only represents 5 cents in value, but also carries the weight of a nation's struggles, triumphs, and transformations. The Jefferson nickel of 1940 is far more than a small coin. Struck in nickel and copper, it is a symbol of an era, a reflection of the United States as it stood on the brink of global conflict, and a continuation of a design that had already begun to carve its place in numismatic history. The story of the 1940 Jefferson nickel begins with its origins just a year after the first issue in 1938, when the United States Mint replaced the long-running Buffalo nickel with a new design honoring the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. The Buffalo nickel had been admired for its artistry, yet it posed challenges in terms of production and durability. Its intricate details often wore down quickly, and the Mint sought a design that would not only be more practical, but also more enduring. The winning design for the Jefferson nickel came from Felix Schlag, a German-born American sculptor whose entry triumphed in the 1938 design competition. Schlag's obverse portrait of Jefferson was a bold, left-facing bust, drawing attention to the intellectual strength of the statesman, while the reverse featured a depiction of Monticello Jefferson's beloved Virginia home, though Schlag's original design underwent modifications imposed by the Commission of Fine Arts and the Mint. The final result was a coin that blended functionality with dignity. The Jefferson nickel would remain in production with various modifications for decades to come, and in 1940 it was still in its infancy as a series. Now let us focus on the historical backdrop of 1940. America was still recovering from the Great Depression. Franklin D. Roosevelt was leading the nation with his New Deal policies, while at the same time preparing for the possibility of war in Europe, although the United States would not enter World War II until December 1941. The events unfolding overseas were already influencing the American economy industry, and public sentiment coins struck in 1940, including the Jefferson nickel, reflected a sense of stability, continuity, and readiness for whatever challenges lay ahead. From a technical standpoint, the 1940 Jefferson nickel was struck in a composition of 75% copper and 25% nickel. The standard alloy used since the coin's introduction, the weight was 5 grams with a diameter of 21. 2 millimeters and a plain edge production took place at 3 mint facilities, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each producing millions of nickels. Yet with subtle variations that intrigue collectors to this day, the Philadelphia Mint coins carried no mint mark. The Denver issues bore a small D mint mark on the reverse to the right of Monticello, and the San Francisco coins carried an S mint mark in the same position. Mintage figures for 1940 are significant. Philadelphia produced over 176 million nickels. Denver struck around 43 million, and San Francisco added nearly 40 million together. These numbers ensured that the coin circulated widely across the country, becoming a familiar presence in pockets, purses, and cash registers. However, within these large mintages, there exist varieties and conditions that make certain examples far more valuable and desirable than others to collectors. The strike quality varied depending on the mint, with some coins showing sharper details, particularly in Monticello's steps, while others suffered from weaker impressions, making the full step designations a key factor in grading. And value collectors of Jefferson nickels often focus on the so-called full steps designation, which refers to the clarity of the steps at the base of Monticello on the reverse. A coin that shows 5 or 6 complete steps without breaks or weakness is considered a full steps example. Such coins are scarce for many years of the series, and the 1940 issue is no exception. While millions of nickels were struck, only a fraction display fully defined steps, and those that do are highly sought after by specialists. High-grade, full steps examples can command impressive premiums at auction, especially when certified by reputable grading services. Beyond the technical details, the 1940 Jefferson nickel holds significance as a coin struck at a crossroads in American history. Collectors often view it as part of the pre-war era, when the design was still new and the nation was still at peace. Within just a few years, the composition of the nickel would change dramatically during World War II, when silver was used in place of nickel to conserve the strategic metal for wartime production. The so-called war nickels issued from 1942 to 1945 stand apart, but the 1940 issue remains a reminder of the last years before that dramatic shift in materials. Errors and varieties of the 1940 Jefferson nickel add another layer of fascination. Among them are double dies, repunched mint marks, and striking anomalies. Some examples show noticeable doubling in the inscriptions or details of Monticello. Others display mint marks that were punched more than once, creating overlapping impressions. These varieties may not be common, but they capture the attention of specialists who scour their collections and rolls of nickels, hoping to uncover a hidden rarity. The condition of a 1940 Jefferson nickel plays a crucial role in determining its value circulated. Examples are abundant and usually hold little more than face value unless they exhibit unique characteristics. However, uncirculated coins, especially those with brilliant luster, sharp strikes, and full steps designation, can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on rarity and certification. The grading scale developed by the American Numismatic Association provides a framework for assessing these coins, from circulated grades, like good and fine, to mint state levels ranging from MS-60 to MS-67 and beyond. Examples at the highest levels of preservation are exceptionally rare and form the pinnacle of many collections. Over the decades, the Jefferson nickel series has sometimes been overlooked compared to other American coins such as the Lincoln cent or the Morgan silver dollar. Yet it has gained increasing respect among numismatists for its longevity, diversity, and historical context. The 1940 issue in particular has a special place because of its timing in history, its role in the development of the series, and its connection to Jefferson's legacy. As we reflect on this coin, we see more than metal. We see craftsmanship, design, symbolism, and history intertwined. The Jefferson nickel of 1940 speaks to the values of America, the admiration of its leaders, the continuity of its coinage, and the enduring connection between people and the money they use. Each example, whether worn from decades of circulation or preserved in mint state condition, carries with it stories of commerce, survival, and national identity. It is a coin that invites us to look closer, to appreciate the artistry of Felix Schlag, to consider the political climate of the time, and to understand the importance of seemingly ordinary objects. in telling the extraordinary story of a nation. So when you hold a 1940 Jefferson nickel in your hand, remember you are not just holding 5 cents. You are holding the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, the creativity of Felix Schlag, the industrial might of the United States Mint, and the resilience of a nation on the verge of historic change. This small coin is a portal into the past, and a reminder of how even the simplest things can carry profound meaning.